Now, I think it is two separate topics, the question of the ethics of abortion and the question of whether or not it should ever be considered legal or illegal according to any public government. Now, the questions of the ethics are is the question of whether or not abortion is ever okay, or ever acceptable, or always unacceptable from a normative standpoint, whether it's always bad, okay, whether it's okay or not, ever, or but then on the other hand, you have the legal question of whether or not the public government should intervene ever in and declare it to be legal, always legal, or sometimes legal and sometimes illegal. Yeah, those are two separate matters, I believe, and it's analogous to the question of whether or not any action is under the jurisdiction of any given government, and whether or not that a person so what I believe is that a person's body is their own sovereign territory. So effectively, a person's body is a state within a state. It's so that this is a person's body is their own sovereignty, and the government has no jurisdiction over what goes on within an individual's body. And so therefore, I believe in relation to the question of abortion, in that case, the mother's body is sovereign territory, and the unborn fetus or embryo is a natural unborn citizen of that sovereign territory, and effectively the mother is the dictator of that citizen, and the mother gets to decide from a legal standpoint what the rights of that unborn citizen is, and the government has no jurisdiction over the unborn's legal rights. I'm not saying that, so that's a completely separate question, whether or not the ethical question of abortion. I'm talking about strictly on the basis of a legal question, whether or not any U.S. public government should have jurisdiction over the rights of the unborn embryo or fetus, or whether or not the mother has sole jurisdiction from a legal standpoint. And I think that the government should stay out of the legality of abortion, because I believe the mother's has sovereignty over any unborn embryo or fetus, regardless of how it came about. I mean, either way, it happened naturally. So in regardless of what stage it is, it's up to the mother to make up. They're the ones that get to decide the ethics, or they get to decide legally. They get to decide it, and they can make what they ethically decide to do with that fetus is it's up to them from a legal standpoint. And now maybe they'll make a bad decision. They could end up being a malevolent dictator, and so people. I'm sure many people will have to decide one way or another whether or not that mother is being malevolent or a benevolent dictator of the unborn's life, but from an ethical standpoint. But regardless, it's the mother I believe has sovereignty and can decide for themselves. It's up to them to decide how to govern with what goes on in their own body. And since since the unborn's life began there, they're the citizen of that sovereign land, and the mother just gets, from a legal standpoint, it's up to them. Now, of course, I mean, people say, well, what if it is murder? Well, there's a lot of countries, foreign countries outside of the U.S. still engage in all sorts of undoubtedly very amoral acts, such as executing for minor crimes, or they may still other countries engage in slavery still. But there's nobody is suggesting that we should pass a law in the United States, for instance, that bans slavery in countries such as Libya. But we're still, the debate for abortion keeps going on, and nobody seems to be considering the possibility that the mother's body is a sovereign land that should and be considered a sovereign territory, just as we consider a foreign country as being sovereign land, where we should not have try to claim any jurisdiction over whether or not they get to decide whether or not to be a democracy or not a democracy, or a dictatorship, a malevolent dictatorship or not. It's not up to us, or it's not up to our government to decide that matter. So, so I think as far as the ethical question, I'm not sure about abortion. It's a difficult question. I mean, it's a difficult topic. It's kind of macabre. It's gruesome. But I'm not sure. I'm kind of a fence sitter about the ethical side of abortion. Whether is it always wrong, or is it some cases is it okay from ethical standpoint? I'm not really sure. But I do believe that the government, whether it's the state, local, federal, it should not be any of their business. I'm deciding about either it should not be their decision to ever ban abortion. It's outside. It's outside of their jurisdiction, and it should remain outside of the jurisdiction of any government, whether it's local, state, or federal in the United States. That's my belief. So I just want to get that idea out there, because I don't see it. Nobody seems to be coming up with this idea. So that's my thoughts on this topic. It seems to be a very hot topic right now. So I thought, well, I'd get this. I've thought about this long before, but now I thought, well, it's a good time to bring it up because it's such a hot topic right now. So that's what I have to say for this on this matter. If you're watching and listening, thank you. Yeah.